Hey wrestling fans, welcome back to 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I am your host, Lance Brock, on a late Monday night, soon to be early Tuesday morning. Thank you for tuning in. And on this episode, first, gonna real quick talk a little bit about NXT Worlds Collide, and then recap tonight's episode of Monday Night RAW. Once again, covering the big pro wrestling weekend from last weekend, or this past weekend, I should say. Alright, let's get into real quick. Worlds Collide. From there at the Performance Center in Orlando, Carmelo Hayes starts off defending the NXT North American Championship against Ricochet. 15 minutes, 57 seconds for this one. Very good match to start off the show. Carmelo Hayes, very impressive, and Ricochet, I have to say, definitely looked better than the stuff he has done on the main roster as of late. Even in a losing effort, looked really good in this match. 15 minutes, 57 seconds. And next up, Pretty Deadly defeated the Creed brothers to unify the NXT and NXT UK Tag Team Championships. And also this was a 4-way match, my mistake. And the new unified NXT Tag Team Champions. And next up, triple threat match to unify the two women's championships for NXT and NXT UK. Mandy Rose wins this one. And next up, a tag team match for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Chance and Carter defeat Doudrop and Nikki ASH. 10 minutes, 19 seconds. The main event is up next. The NXT champion Braun Breaker defeats the NXT UK champion Tyler Bate at 17 minutes, 11 seconds. Good main event here. Like I've said on the earlier podcast that I did, and also good show, Worlds Collide, and this weekend all the three big shows, WWE and AEW. I didn't really think there was a bad match on any of the shows, to be honest. Had a great weekend of pro wrestling action, and that's definitely what I love to see. I'm sure all of you wrestling fans agree with me as well, hopefully. And now let's get on to Monday Night RAW. We start off with Edge making his way to the ring, and he calls out Dominic Mysterio. But then he is joined by Rey Mysterio instead, and he asks Edge not to fight his son. And then we see Rhea Ripley make her way out. Then she brings out Dominic. Dominic does not say anything, just stares into the ring Ray leaves, tries to talk some sense into his son, but then he leaves. And then Damian Priest and Finn Balor come from the crowd and attack Edge in the middle of the ring. Ripley goes under the ring to get a chair, gives it to Dominic, and then he gives it into the ring. And Balor uses it on Edge, and then Ray comes back out to try to make the save for Edge, but Dominic blocks him, pushes him down, and then Rhea Ripley throws him into the steel steps. And we see Ray in the back, and he challenges either Finn Balor or Damian Priest to a match later on, because he will not put his hands on his own son. In our first match of the night, we have a number one contenders fatal 4-way match for the tag team championships. Is the New Day, the Alpha Academy, Los Lotharios, and the Street Profits. Starts off not a bad match, but then it is interrupted by the returning monster among men, Braun Strowman. Get these hands. He destroys everybody that was involved in this match. And in case you have watched some of the YouTube videos my nephew Bruiser Brody has been on, you know he's a big fan of Braun Strowman. So he was definitely happy to see that. And the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez, are in action, and they defeat the team of Nikki, ASH, and Doudrop. And now we get a promo in the ring from Mr. Money in the Bank, Austin Theory, and he is interrupted by Kevin Owens, and he ends up challenging Theory to a match, and Owens gets the victory. Good TV match here, nothing real special. Then we have Damage Control in the ring. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. And then we see the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. And then Bayley pretty much says she will face her when she wants to, because since she pinned her at Clash at the Castle. And then it is time for Rey Mysterio, after challenging one of the members of the Judgment Day and accepting that challenge, is Damian Priest. Starts off one-on-one, Priest comes out by himself, but then eventually Rhea Ripley, Dominic, and Finn Balor make their way to ringside, and Rey Mysterio looks like he's about to finish Priest off with a 619, but then Dominic jumps up on the apron, causing the distraction. And then Ripley and Balor distract Rey, and that allows Damian Priest to hit the South of Heaven chokeslam to defeat Rey Mysterio. Now for the main event of the evening. It is a steel cage match for the United States Championship. The Miz defending against the almighty Bobby Lashley. Before the match even starts, Tommaso Ciampa opens the door, attacks Lashley and Miz. And Miz and Ciampa attack and beat up Lashley on the floor as we go to a commercial break. That was another thing tonight I've noticed, well, not just tonight, but lately, I should say, that they've been doing picture-in-picture more for, I think, just about every match when they go to a break during one has been picture-in-picture, just like AEW does during Dynamite and Rampage, where it's every match where they go to a break during the match, they go to picture-in-picture, which I'm okay with. And then we see The Miz, just when Lashley is about to escape out the door, Ciampa get involved again, and then The Miz grabs the door and slams it repeatedly into the head of Bobby Lashley and goes to the opposite side of the ring to try to escape. And then under the ring, we see poke out of under the ring, I should say, Dexter Lumis. Yes, I said his name right this time. Didn't call him Samuel Shaw like I have been lately. But he's still doing the kind of crazy gimmick like he did in Impact when he was with Christy Hemme there and then turned crazy. And then that distracts The Miz and Lashley gets the win. And then Dexter Lumis climbs the cage and enters the ring. Miz tries to escape, but then Lashley shuts the door on him and he's trapped. Dexter Lumis, I should say, he gets that choke, that standing choke that he does on and chokes The Miz out as Raw goes off the air. That was tonight's Monday Night Raw. Not a bad show. Raw has definitely improved recently. I know I probably sound like everybody now, saying now that Triple H is in charge running things, TV has improved, gotten better, but to be honest, in my opinion, it definitely has, or at least I think so anyway. Let me know what you think, though. Leave a comment on the YouTube version of the podcast, or I should check this out, but if any of the podcast websites you are listening to on has a comment section, leave a comment there, or the social media, the Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod, the Facebook 360 Wrestling Podcast, Instagram 360 Wrestling Podcast. Let me know what you think of WWE, not just tonight's Monday Night Raw, but overall Raw, SmackDown, the pay-per-views. There's only been really 2 so far since Triple H has taken over, SummerSlam and then Clash at the Castle. But let me know what you think. And not just WWE. As always, all pro wrestling, whether it's AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the NWA, MLW, AAA, anything going on in the world of pro wrestling, just email 360 Wrestling Podcast or 360 Wrestling Podcast at gmail.com. Messed that up, sorry. Or the social media, like I said, with the comments and stuff. If you want to support 360 Wrestling Podcast, it would help very much. And then I can make the podcast bigger, better than ever before. Anchor.fm/360-wrestling-podcast 360 or streamlabs.com/360 wrestling podcast. And like I've said before, I want to stream more, but I don't know if maybe the connection's not good enough here, or the computer I use isn't quite good enough for streaming, but I've been having trouble. Hopefully, I'll figure Streamlabs out. But I think you can still donate even when I'm not streaming live. But if you do catch me streaming live, you can watch and donate. You don't have to, but if you, like I said, it would help very much make 360 better. And I know what you're probably thinking. To make it better, you need a good host. But hopefully, I could do some improvements for the podcasts and make it better. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. And that's all for this episode 314. And I got something planned in the next couple episodes. Not gonna say what it is right now, but a couple episodes away from a special episode. But thanks again for listening to this episode. Until the next one, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.